Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry I've been away for a while. It's been a hectic couple weeks. My truck got stolen and I've been working a lot of overtime, but a lot has happened that I want to talk about. I guess the first thing that happened since my last informative video would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying. And it's been interesting to see the responses. We have two halves of the country who are completely terrified about who is going to replace her, and that based on who replaces her, they're afraid that their rights are going to either be taken away or be continued to be protected. To me, this is really tragic. It just proves how much power the Supreme Court has, that just one elderly woman dying in the government can so drastically change the landscape. That's not good. I mean, that's not the design. I was thinking about the Supreme Court and the Constitution. We have 27 amendments technically, but in reality, we've had hundreds of amendments. The Supreme Court has just become an extension of the Constitution. What that's made me realize is that we really need to take the Constitution literally. There should be no interpretations of it. It has to be taken at face value. And the reason that is because otherwise you have things like the Patriot Act. Getting the Patriot Act is interpreting the Constitution instead of taking it literally. So if you can run into dangers by taking it literally, take the Second Amendment. If we're letting militias have nukes or RPGs and we don't like that, you need to amend the Constitution again. And that's just the way it has to be. You have to explicitly explain what rights are protected and what that means. Because if it isn't explicit and literal, then there's always some way they're going to get around it. And they do that anyway right now. So the only qualification there should be for a Supreme Court justice that we really care about is reading comprehension. And if we want to change the Constitution, we have to go through the proper channels to do so instead of ignoring it. Otherwise, it's completely useless, which it is. The Constitution is a dead document now. We don't follow it on many different levels. And some of the most ardent so-called constitutionalists, they really only care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about citizenship. If you're born here, that's a constitutional amendment. They never bring that one up because it doesn't align with their views. So that's kind of what I think about that whole thing. And then it is funny seeing the complete flip on both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans 4 years ago, when Scalia died, they were insistent that we needed to wait until the next election was over and let the people decide, basically. And the Democrats disagreed, and they said, no, Obama is still president. He at least deserves to nominate someone, and there should be a vote. I agreed with the Democrats at the time. Obama had the right to nominate, and the Senate would have voted it down anyway. So I didn't get why there was this huge stall. I guess they were afraid that his pick was moderate enough that some Republicans might vote for it. I don't know, but I was with the Democrats in 2016 that Obama had the right to at least nominate. And so now I still feel the same way. I feel that Trump has the right to nominate. He is president. But now the Democrats are saying what the Republicans were saying 4 years ago, and the Republicans are saying what the Democrats said 4 years ago. So it's just a complete joke. There's no consistency at all. But I say go ahead with the nomination. So then we had the debate. And it was worse than I was expecting. I knew it was going to be bad, but that was just an absolute shit show. And it's funny seeing partisans come out and say that, you know, Trump is being treated unfairly. He had to debate Chris Wallace and Donald Trump. I'll just say this about Trump. The media is definitely prejudiced against him, but he deserves every bit of it that he gets. He asks for it. You know, it's not like Tulsi or Ron Paul or any of these other people where they're just blackballing them because what they're saying is true. The reason people go after Trump is because he's so obnoxious and so inflammatory and so stupid, and he lies all the time. So it's not like he doesn't deserve any righteous indignation. You know, he doesn't deserve to feel persecuted because he deserves every bit of of hatred that he gets. So I don't feel sorry for Trump at all. And specifically during that debate, I mean, he interrupted way more than Biden did. He was way more obnoxious. If Biden had been debating someone else, you can't tell me that would have been as ridiculous as it was. Trump was the factor that brought the stupidity into that debate. And Biden did stoop to his level in some instances, but that debate was a joke because of Donald Trump. I think you have to be pretty partisan to deny that. I also think Trump shot himself in the foot in that debate. You know, he should have let Biden hang himself. Biden had a rope around his neck and he was trying to step off the stool, and Trump kept pushing him back on by interrupting him. Because if he had just let Biden go, there were a couple moments where Biden was lost. Like he should have made him answer the question about packing the Supreme Court or getting rid of the filibuster. And he didn't, because Trump kept interrupting him and wouldn't shut up. So we never actually got an answer. And that could have been a really bad moment for Biden. But Trump just wouldn't shut up. And he has no self-control. He's so obviously unfit to be president. It is pissing me off how many libertarians are giving Trump a pass, because, you know, it's one thing to say that Biden is better than Trump, because I wouldn't say that. I would say Trump is slightly better than Biden. But we need to criticize authoritarianism, stupidity, I would say neo-fascism. You know, Trump is guilty of espousing all of these things. You know, he's a bully, he's a jerk, he uses his power abusively. Those are not libertarian principles, and we should be fully critical of those. But yeah, I think Biden came out looking way better. I do think Biden is going to win now. I know I've kind of gone back. I said Biden a while ago, and then when all the riots were getting really bad, I said maybe Trump has a chance. I don't think, I mean, it's such a weird year, you can't really call it until it happens. But I think Biden is definitely favorable, and it's not because he's good, it's just because Trump is so horrible. And I would personally vote for Trump if I had to choose one of them. But at the same time, even though I definitely disagree with Biden more, I feel that it would be accelerationist to get him instead of Trump, because Trump slows things down. A lot of people think he speeds them up because he's such a tablespoon of salt in the wound. But he actually, I think he's slowing down progress, because he gets a lot of people who are anti-establishment, anti-war, anti-Fed, all of these things. They root for him, even though he's not actually solving any of the problems. You know, I think Justin Amash really points out well that Trump hasn't done anything to reduce our troop levels in the Middle East. He hasn't, Peter Schiff really lays out well how he's been the opposite of what he campaigned on when it comes to the Federal Reserve. He's not anti-establishment. He is a tool of the establishment, and he slows down people who could be jumping on board, let's say the Joe Jorgensen train right now, or just the liberty movement in general, and he siphons people away from a movement that could be countered to the the oppressive government and regime change war establishment that we have. For example, like Rand Paul, even though I still like the guy for the most part, Trump has definitely turned him into a different person. He's not the same guy who was filibustering the appointment of John Brennan to the CIA because of the drone strikes. You don't see that. I think he mostly is still principled, but he convinces other people that Trump is a force for good when he's so obviously not. So I will not be sad if Biden replaces Trump. To me, it's a toss-up, and I don't think they're exactly the same because, as I already said, I do think Trump's a tiny bit better, but it's marginal, and he might do more harm than good for the liberty movement. And so now Trump has COVID-19, and I imagine he'll probably be fine. But it's interesting, seeing the people who were saying that Trump is literally Hitler a couple weeks ago now wishing him to get well. And it's also funny seeing a lot of conservatives who were rejoicing over Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death now, complaining that some liberals are happy that Trump is sick. It's just an interesting dynamic to watch on both sides. I hope he doesn't die because there would be extreme repercussions for that constitutionally during an election year, and also just social upheaval. I don't think it would be good. I really honestly don't care what happens to him on a personal level. I really don't. Maybe that's wrong, but I just don't care. I don't wish for him to die, but I can't say I feel sorry for him at all. So, but I hope he recovers for the sake of the country. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Tulsi Gabbard, because, as many of you who have been following for a long time, I actually started this channel to support her when she was running. After she dropped out, I was disappointed in her because she seemed to go through a change. She wasn't acting like the Tulsi Gabbard that I knew during the primary. And that really concerned me because I thought, wow, was this really all just fake? Was this all lip service? She has gone through that phase, whatever that was, and it sounds like the real Tulsi Gabbard again now. For the last few weeks, it kind of started when the first thing she did was say that a lot of the government restrictions during this COVID-19 pandemic have made people doubt the competency of the government and the seriousness of the disease, and that things should be left more up to the people and should make more sense. That was the first sign that, wow, she's sounding different from everyone else again. And then she called out the Netflix for premiering Cuties, and she got a ton of backlash from people on the left for that for some reason. And then the next thing was introducing a bill to ban ballot harvesting with a Republican, and then citing Project Veritas. And then most recently, she's introduced, I think as of today, 3 bills to protect whistleblowers and specifically protect Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. And one of the bills she's introduced with Thomas Massie. And then she also introduced a bill a week or so ago to eliminate the president's kill switch on internet powers. So this is the Tulsi I was hoping for, because she's not running for re-election. So who cares? Just take the gloves off. Be like Justin Amash. And that's exactly what she's been doing the last couple of weeks. So, there are a lot of supporters who have been really angry at me for criticizing her. There's no criticism that I've made over the last 6 months that I'm ashamed of. I mean, I still am in disagreement with her on the HEROES Act and the TRACE Act, endorsing Biden, thinking that the federal government should have more control over the COVID-19 pandemic. She seemed to have backed away from the COVID-19 craziness a little bit, and I think she realizes that even though this disease is serious, that the federal government is not the best tool to deal with it, that localities and common sense solutions are better than just blanket laws that don't really do anything to alleviate the problem. I am, good for Tulsi Gabbard, and I have definitely had my interest in what she is doing been replenished. I had kind of backed off of really caring what she did because there wasn't anything of interest coming from her office, but now that's changed. She's much more like the Tulsi I knew back in the primary. I hope she leaves the Democratic Party. She doesn't have a place there anymore. I can understand why Rand Paul stays in the Republican Party because he still has respect there. He has the president's ear on foreign policy and criminal justice reform, so he's willing to sully his name by getting the gains that he can. I at least understand that. It sucks to see it happen, but I get it. Tulsi Gabbard is like Justin Amash was in the Republican Party. I mean, there's just no room for her. The electorate doesn't like her. The establishment doesn't like her. Even progressives don't like her for the most part. So I don't know why she stays there. I would love for her to join the liberty movement. I think a lot of her ideas, even the more social program side of things, they had more market-based solutions than government mandate like Bernie Sanders' plans did. So I think there's hope for her to realize that, we can approve some of the societal goals she wants without government force. Gun control is an issue I don't think is huge on her mind. It's something that she could step away from. I would love to see her join the Libertarian Party. I would love to see her and Justin Amash run a presidential campaign together. And either way, Amash, Gabbard, Amash, if that happened, I would quit my job and volunteer for that campaign. But that is the future. It's important to think about right now. So I'm just going to say this. Jo Jorgensen is not going to win the presidency, but that's not the goal. There's a very, very slight chance she could, but it's not realistic to think about. What we need to do is vote down ballot liberty candidates. There are so many of them running. Brad Barron, Elliot Sherman, Michael Madrid, John Molnar in my state. There are tons of great down ballot libertarian candidates. And yes, we need to vote for Jo Jorgensen too, because even though she's very unlikely to win, if we get 5% nationally, that opens a ton of doors that we don't have to break open every single year anymore. If you want to see Tulsi Gabbard run as a third-party candidate, you should vote for Jo Jorgensen because it is making that path more viable. The reason Tulsi's not doing it right now is because it's not viable. If we can break these thresholds, then we can prove there's a way other than the duopoly to be successful. And I don't think we need to build a new party. I don't think you need the People's Party or anything. I mean, the Libertarian Party has a Libertarian Socialist Caucus, and it's the only party that has factions of both right and left coming together. Every other party, Constitution, Green, Democrat, Republican, it's either left or right. I mean, there's no combination. The Libertarian Party combines those two factions, so that is the best vehicle forward. It's dumb to try starting a new party now when we've already got a platform that can allow third parties to run. So if you disagree with Jo Jorgensen on something, just realize she's not going to win anyway. You're voting for the future. And if she does somehow win, if you're a progressive leaning person, realize that her presidency would be very similar to a Tulsi Gabbard presidency. Because Tulsi said she was not going to do executive orders. Jo Jorgensen is the same way. She believes in the government doing its job. So you are, you're going to, from the power that the executive branch has, you'll see very similar actions. It will be removing troops from the Middle East, not reauthorizing the Patriot Act, freeing victimless crimes, things like that. The only differences would be, I think Joe will veto a lot more spending bills than Tulsi Gabbard would, but very similar outcomes. So if you want a future outside the duopoly, vote for Joe Jorgensen. And there are a ton of libertarian candidates down ballot who can win, so vote for them. But yeah, that's my thoughts on everything that's been happening lately. There's no better year for the Libertarian Party to make a splash. I mean, this is even better than 2016. That debate was such a joke, and the two parties are such a joke. It's just so obvious that there's so much partisanship and stupidity, and that we need something new. So vote gold. That's all I can say. Writing in Tulsi Gabbard or writing in Rand Paul, or, because I know people who are going to do both of those things, it's a useless gesture except for yourself. And some people might call this vote shaming. I'm just telling you the truth. That doesn't do anything. It doesn't open a door. It's not probably even going to make the news. Even if she got 1 million votes, they probably wouldn't tell anyone because it's Tulsi Gabbard. So don't do that. Vote for something that's actually going to give her a chance to be viable on a third party in the future. At least vote green. If you're not going to vote libertarian, vote for one of those parties that can break some sort of threshold. That's really the best thing you can do, I think. So yeah, that's my video, and I'll be doing more soon. Sorry that it's been a little little slim on the videos lately, but I'll try to catch up. So I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.